Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Échale Podcast. My name is Jose Quintero, and in today's episode, February ain't over, okay? So we can still talk about relationships, and I feel like it's very important to continue these conversations about relationships because some of us are still hurting in that department. And that is why I have brought with me Amanda, who has her own podcast, who talks about dating, who talks about relationships. And we met through social media not too long ago. And she's all like, hey, this would be a good conversation. And I'm like, oh, yeah, let's go ahead and have this conversation about dating in 2023. Amanda, welcome to Échale Podcast. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I feel like we have a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I definitely want to do this as like a therapy session as well, because obviously we both have gone through from the little that I know about you, we've both gone through like our dating phases and then obviously gotten with people or haven't gotten with people in my case. But I want to get to know a little bit of what you do and what is your background before we get started.
Yeah, well, definitely I've been through the struggles too, since my podcast is Dating Will Be the Death of Me. That is a very true, well, we'll talk more about where I'm at now, but I got into podcasting about a year and a half ago, just from telling my stories to my friends. They had just told me, like, you need to put this out there because I've had some crazy dates, some crazy experiences. So I got into that, and it really has been therapeutic because I feel like talking through things and also connecting with other people who have been through kind of the shit it's nice to connect, even though it's through like misery.
Of course. And it was so interesting seeing that your podcast is like Dating Will Be the Death of Me, because I feel since the pandemic, that's literally been how it's been for a lot of us. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, what is this dating online? Like, I'm just going to kind of try. Like, I'm so hesitant to it. And then you know about Tinder because that's all you've ever heard. But you think of it as more as a hookup. Like, oh, you're just going to, that's the connotation that I got from Tinder because everybody was talking about it. Like, oh, if you just want to hook up with somebody and just maybe like sleep with somebody, Tinder is a place to go. But for a lot of us, especially as men, as we get older, it was like, well, we're looking for something a little bit more serious and whatnot. And I understand that there's success stories in Tinder, but in the beginning of the pandemic, is that when your Death of Me story started, or has this already been going on for like a little bit?
It would have been going on. I feel like 3 or 4 years leading up to the pandemic, I had gotten out of a relationship that was awful and just kind of lived my single life for a little bit. But no, I totally, like, did you ever do any of the virtual like FaceTime dates with anyone that you hadn't met before?
I never did just because I don't know, I found it weird. Like I literally was of course. Like my traditional way of meeting someone, which I'm sure it was for you, like going out and meeting people, and eventually if you guys hit it off, then something would happen. If not, somebody else would be like, oh, I have a friend you should meet. You know, those are the more conventional ways. And then the pandemic definitely happened. So when that option came to be, I was like, I think women, I don't know if they're going to be into this. And I think as a man in 2023, we have to be a little bit more careful. Like we don't come off as creeps or so that was always going through my head. So I just never was like, I'm going to Zoom call somebody I've never met to see if I hit it off.
The only good thing, because it was super awkward, like we were still getting used to everything being virtual. So I feel like it was that awkward, like talking over each other and just not having the in-person vibe to kind of go off of. But I did like how you knew right away. Like you didn't waste a night out on someone. You were like, I had a few times where I called the person and they were just so uncomfortable and like awkward. And it was just so cringy that I was like, all right, I'm going to go. And it's so easy just to press hang up rather than have to like do the whole, I'm going to get up from the bar,
Did you ever
go.
do that, like, to somebody that was just rambling on, then you're just like, I'm just gonna click without even
Yeah.
saying bye? Really?
Well, so my thing is, if I'm on a date and you don't ask me a single question, then why am I there? So there was one person that I just remember he talked for literally 3 minutes straight. I was like, hi, and then he just went off, and I was like,
I feel like
I'm
that would
gonna
be me. I was like, damn,
You
I'm
seem
gonna
more
text her.
self-aware though. Like I just feel like there's a difference between the nervous chatter and like just feeling like you have to fill the space. There's a difference between that and just not really being interested in hearing
Yeah.
about someone else. And I've definitely come across both. I think it's endearing when someone's chatty and like is kind of nervous, but when it comes across as self-centered, that's when I kind of check out.
Got you. So for anybody listening, we're going to go ahead and talk about the different dating apps because it is 2023. I'm sure you've heard of them all. But at the same time, they're like, well, which one's the most, which one's the best dating app? Which one's the worst dating app in our opinions?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad I'm having this conversation with you who's been on dating sites and is a woman. So you can speak on your behalf, of course, and I'll speak on my behalf. We can't speak for all women and all men
Right.
on these dating apps. But what dating apps have you been on? Or
So
on?
yeah, I did start on Tinder because I feel like back when I was on, right? That's like the gateway, the gateway drug of dating.
Yeah.
But that was back when it like wasn't fully a hookup app. Then I transitioned into Bumble, then Hinge, and I did download Coffee Meets Bagel for a second.
Okay, yeah.
But it was too clunky. And then I think the only other one was Facebook Dating, that was my most recent foray into.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
For me, I started with Tinder, but again, I was looking for something. Again, not saying that people aren't on there for real reasons,
right?
But I mean, I just had a lot of friends in college, and even after I graduated, like, oh man, I met this woman on Tinder. Like, we had a one night stand, and then tomorrow I'm meeting somebody else, and I'm like, okay, well, that's great, but that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And then I went to Bumble because as a man, sometimes I get nervous. I'm like, how do I initiate the conversation? Do I just say, hey? Are they going to think that I'm boring? And with Bumble, women have to initiate the conversation.
Yeah.
And then you come to realize that even some of them are like, hey.
I mean, I'm totally guilty of doing that because I'm just like, let's see where you take it. But
yes, and then as a Latino, I definitely am still on Chispa, so that's a more like Latino-based dating app, and Hinge, and Facebook dating. It's open, but I just never could take that one serious. Like I tried it for like half a day, and I was like, it's just gonna leave this on. It just seems you just get a lot of international people or a lot of random people, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't even know if you're real.
Yeah, no, and that's my biggest kind of problem with Facebook dating is I didn't feel like it took any of the settings that you took seriously. It's like you're just gonna throw random people at you, like whatever age, from wherever. So that is definitely a huge thing that Facebook dating needs to work on. But that's where, I mean, I've had my most recent success from Facebook dating, so I can't.
You're lying.
I'm in a relationship from Facebook dating. Yes.
What? Okay. We're gonna have to get into this, and then obviously we have some questions that I posted on my podcast Instagram, where you who listen to the podcast wanted us to tackle on some dating questions. So hopefully we can get those in a bit. But how long were you on dating apps prior to meeting the potential one?
So I've been on and off them for years. I feel like you are on them until you get annoyed with them, then you delete them, then you get back on them, then you find someone and you think it's going to go well. And I just feel like on and off probably for 4 or 5 years, which is so long. But
I mean, I agree.
How long have you been on them?
I think since the start of the pandemic. And again, on and off, I would say like a couple months. I was on them, and then I did the whole swiping, and then not swiping, and trying to chat, and it's very how do I say it, repetitive, having similar
Hmm.
conversations with people that you take the joy out of courtship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and because
At
then
times.
it doesn't feel special. Like you're like
Yeah, of course.
another person who asked me my favorite food. Like, cool.
Yeah, yeah, and then I'm over here like, well, I only have so many questions that I can ask that like come, and and it has to fit with the right vibe and intention. So if I'm not feeling your vibe, I'm like, okay, well then there's not much further I can go with deeper questions.
Yeah,
And you know, with some people, it what really frustrated me about dating apps, and what still frustrates me about dating apps, and I'm not sure if you've done this or if they've done this to you, because I feel like as men, sometimes we tend to get ghosted way more than women
I was just gonna
because
ask you about ghosting.
yeah, like you'd have awesome conversations, and I know I had some wonderful conversations with some incredible women on these sites, and then they're gone. They don't answer. And
Do
I was
they
like, wait, what?
delete? Do they delete you, or do they just
Well, some
stay
delete
matched?
me.
And
No, yeah,
okay,
some like unmatched, so you don't even see them pop up, and you're just like, where'd you go? We were
yeah,
having such a good time. I thought we were vibing.
right. No,
What
that's like
about?
frustrating because
Yeah,
then it makes you question like what was the point of that? Like,
yeah,
am I a bad judge of how a conversation's going, or am I a bad judge of character? But I got to the point where I don't let it take my I don't take it personally because
okay,
at the end of the day, if you haven't met them yet, I don't necessarily think they deserve or the, I don't think they have to give you an explanation if it just kind
yeah,
of fizzles. But I think if you have met someone and you ghost, I feel like that's kind of heartless.
yeah. I remember I had a person that I met last year, and we had like a really good a week and a half of conversations on Hinge, and it was back and forth. And I was like, oh my God, like I like this. The conversations that we're having, I want to ask for her number. I asked for her number. She's like, you know what? Let's keep it on the app still. And I'm like, you know what? I respect that. Let's continue to get to know each other. And all of a sudden, she stopped messaging me. And I was like, I was frustrated for about like a couple of days and then moved on. A year later, and I kid you not, she resurfaces on the app. I had never deleted her, so she was still on there. And she's like, hey, I noticed that we were having a good conversation. Just want to let you know I was in a relationship. It was toxic and whatnot. I've let that go, but I want to see if I mean, we were having a good conversation. I want to see if we can continue this. And I was like, sure, XYZ, let's continue talking. And then I'll ask for your number again. And again, ghosted. And
She
I'm
did the
like,
same thing.
again. I was like, what?
That's
What?
annoying. Because what was the
Yeah.
point of like it almost just seems like she was pretending and I don't get the
Yeah.
point of that.
Yeah.
That's annoying. I'm sorry.
No worries. I mean, these are just the issues that I have to go through. But talk to me about Facebook dating because I would have never thought a success story would come out of that one.
No, and that's what everyone says when I say, "Oh, I downloaded Facebook dating." A lot of people didn't even know they had a dating part of the app. But it honestly, I don't even know how I found someone that I actually like because it was super frustrating. It was a lot of people that can't hold conversations. And I think it's people who just were like on the Facebook app that also just wanted something to do. But the guy that I'm with is like 20 minutes away. So that was a
Wow.
plus
Yes.
because I feel like having time to see each other is so hard when you're in your own lives. So like being that close has helped. And we met I think a week and a half after talking. So I feel like the conversation was good, the vibe was there, and he made an effort to be available. So we met, and it's been good. It's only been 3 months, so I'm trying not to
Hey,
like
yeah,
jinx
of course.
anything, but
But so far, so good. And what
yeah,
would you say is the number one red flag on dating sites?
the number one red flag. I for me the biggest thing was if someone can carry a conversation, but
Uh,
before even getting to that, I feel like if it was a profile where the person tried too hard to be funny, that was kind of a turn off for me because it's you want to kind of especially with Hinge, I feel like on Hinge you can really tell if someone puts effort into their profile.
You can.
And when they don't put effort in, you're like, okay. So the overly funny or just like not putting any effort into their profile.
Dang. I was gonna say, I'm trying to like think of my Hinge profile.
I was
I'm
going
like,
to say,
no.
what do you have on there?
What I have? I'll actually read it. Dang, this is gonna be embarrassing.
I love this.
All right,
No, this is awesome.
okay, so let's see what my dating profile says, and then you, as a woman, you let me know. Is this like good, bad? What should I
Yeah,
change
I'll rate it.
about it? All right, and then maybe I can see. All right, cool. Go to profile. Oh my God, did they? Oh, okay, edit profile. The view. So this is the picture I have.
That's a good picture because you can actually
right?
see
Okay.
how you look. Yeah. That's a good first picture.
So I want someone willing to go on adventures. Let's see if you can see that. So laugh with, hike, have deep conversations, travel, change my opinion about a topic, challenge me to be better. That's what it says. I want someone who it has what I do. Obviously, don't have children. I'm vaccinated. I have a dog, etc. All these cool stuff. Then I have other pictures, different.
Nice.
Let's see. A life goal of mine to own my own business, open a gym, travel, so many things on my list. Qualities I'm looking for in a +1 wedding date who's not afraid to be herself, someone I can talk to all night, dance with all night. If you can embarrass me in public, you're a keeper. And that's it.
I like that. Did you have a little voice memo on there too?
I do. I just don't know what it is, and I'm afraid to play it.
Yeah, no. That's fair.
I don't, because the prompt says, believe it or not. And so I'm like,
many ways.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know if I want to play this and just fully embarrass myself right now. So I'll have to listen to that.
You were vulnerable. You put it out there.
No, you know what? I've been trying to be as vulnerable as I possibly could. And I think in not 2020, but 2021, that's when I went on the most dates that I have ever gone, because I wouldn't consider myself I consider myself, which is funny, like in college and even till now, a very flirtatious person and a very outgoing person that sometimes can be misinterpreted as being flirtatious, but I'm just naturally like that. I like to talk to people. I'm a networker, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily flirting, but I'm terrible at dating. Dating, where it's
Why do you think?
A lot of, you know what? I would have thought that being picky would be one of those qualities that would make me a terrible dater, but I don't think knowing what you want makes you a terrible dater. I just don't think, and I was having this conversation with somebody else on the podcast about self-care and building confidence. I never did it enough to get comfortable with it to the point where I'm super confident, which is funny. I could be with 100 women having a great time, but if I like one woman and I'm trying to court her, I'm like, oh my God. Oh, I freeze up.
Which is okay. I feel like it can be a lot though. I never would have said that I was like a flirty person, but I feel like I got good at going on dates because I just started to not really care. Not care, but I was in the mindset that if they like me, and if they don't, they don't. And I'm not going to try to make them like me. So I feel like once I started going on more dates, I was able to develop that mindset because I saw that enough people I did make a connection with. So I'm like, whatever. If it works out, it works out. If not, there's.
Did you ever? I have friends who have already partners, but they've already said that their issue with dating, or what their issue would be if they were to go on online dating, is the idea that could be someone better for you out there than the person that's already there. Because you're going shopping and it's like, well, I mean, somebody out there could be better than this person. What would your response be to that?
I feel like that's the same. That's true in like not online dating though too. I feel like that's a lot of people have that mindset and that's why they don't settle down. And I feel like until you don't have that mindset, maybe you haven't found your person yet. Cause I don't want to ever if I'm thinking about that, if I'm thinking like, oh, I wonder if, if I did go back on dating apps, I wonder if I'd find someone better. I feel like that is an indication that maybe that the person I'm with isn't the one for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good response. I like it. What would you say was your best date and your worst date?
My best date, so it wasn't with the person that I'm with right now, just because
Oh,
it was like a
hey.
marathon date. No, not like
Oh,
we've had great date. We have, and I feel like it'll be better in the summer because it's so. I mean, I live in Boston and
how
it's so
interesting.
cold, and like, literally we're waiting for a
Hey,
snowstorm to hit tonight. So,
we're in California and we just had a snowstorm for our
you guys,
first time
yeah,
ever.
are you in LA?
I am about an hour out from LA, but
Okay,
closer to the mountains, so closer to like Big Bear. So
yeah,
LA didn't get snow, but we got snow. And then my best friends, who are 10 minutes north, would it be north? I don't know where it would be, but closer to the mountains, they definitely got like a winter wonderland. And I'm like, whoa,
and
Christmas.
that's not normal,
No,
right?
no, at all. No, it's never happened. And I've lived in this area for about 30 years.
That's crazy. Yeah, my uncle lives in Silver Lake in LA,
Oh,
and he
yeah.
sent a picture. You could see the palm trees, but then out in the distance, the mountains with the snow on it. And I'm like, what the heck? And then with the rain and everything, I just feel like
Yeah.
California, hey, now you know how it feels.
Yep, just a little taste of what the East Coast gets. But your worst and best date.
So my best date it was like a marathon date. We went out to a bar, like 5 o'clock maybe, and then it turned into like going to another bar and then doing karaoke, and then we ended up hanging out all night, woke up, got breakfast, and then we went to an amusement park
You
and spent
stayed
like the whole
over
day
on the
there.
first date?
I stayed over there. I don't want to
Oh,
get murdered, but
okay.
no, it was good, and it wasn't like,
Oh, you
you
didn't stay
know,
with him. Okay. Or what would you say? Or you did stay
yeah,
with
no,
him.
well, in my head, him not coming here makes it
Got
less
it.
murdery. I went
Got it.
there so I could at least leave. But
Got it.
no, it just was a good date. It didn't end up working out because he was very immature for his age. But it was just like such a fun. Every single decision we made was so split second and just like going with the flow. So that was fun. But again, because it was nice out, it was summer. There was so much more to do. So I'm hoping in the summertime, like we just do a lot of going out to dinner, like going to breweries, which is fun. It's like nice to
Yeah.
explore new places, but I do want to kind of like explore different types of dates.
What would
Um,
you say your worst is?
that's hard. I have had so many bad dates,
Wow.
but probably the I had a third date with a guy, and this is a story that I talk about on my podcast, where he was making us dinner, and the he opened the oven and like flames came out, and then the smoke alarm started going off. So I jokingly said like, "Oh my God, you're gonna burn the place down," like fully laughing when I said it, totally just trying to lighten the mood, whatever.
Yeah.
And he just started yelling at me to get out of his house. He was like,
What?
"That's so disrespectful. Like, I can't believe you're doing that. It's crazy."
Oh my gosh.
I
Yeah,
was
you're like
like,
red flag
huge red
screaming at
flag.
me. Yeah.
It was scary,
That
and I was like, are you joking?" And he's like, "No, get out of my
did he
house."
ever text you? Oh, okay. So you didn't even text back, neither did he
No, he texted me later on, and I was like,
apologizing.
yeah, and I was like, I'm not even apologizing. It was kind of well, you did this, so this is why I did
Oh,
this.
gaslighting.
Yeah,
Of course.
exactly. And I was like,
Hey,
I'm good on that. So,
I've been there, done that.
I mean, we probably all have, but what about you? Have you had any like really amazing dates or any train
I
wrecks?
think the most amazing date that I had 2021, and I would say it was also the best and the worst. Um, not anything crazy where we got like physical, like not physical, but like raised our voices or anything.
Hmm.
But I guess I'll start with the worst, and she won't be my worst. But the worst would be catfishing for me. It was sort of like I've seen a lot of women use so much filters on social media or on dating apps, and I understand. Like if you go to Instagram, a nice little Paris filter, that's perfectly fine, you know. But
Or
then
you can still
Snapchat,
tell. Yeah, you can tell what someone actually looks
like. But then
like.
there's Snapchat filters, because you could tell when you use a Instagram filter or a Snapchat filter. Then there's a Snapchat filter, which just like your jawline goes in, your nose is a little smaller, your lips are a little bit bigger. So when I remember I took this girl out to lunch, and it was right after work, and I remember sitting down. I got there early and I was waiting for her, and then she walks in. Well, this woman walks in, and I was just like still kind of looking around, and she keeps getting closer to the table, and I'm like, no. This is just, oh, okay, no. And she's not like, hi, are you Jose? And I'm like, yes, are you looking for someone? And then so and so, and obviously I was going to be a gentleman about it, so we still had which is funny, my friends were like, you should have just stood up and walked away. And I'm like, I don't have it in me. We still had a conversation for about an hour, because again, I'm a talker. And we had a good time, a good conversation, but it wasn't what I was attracted to. And at the end of the day, like, I have to be physically attracted to you first, as vain as that sounds, before I decide, oh wow, I in love with you, or I love your brain rather than your beauty, and your beauty is a plus. Because at the end of the day, I want somebody to challenge me and to have a good conversation, but I think it would also be unfair of me to say, like, what I see is the first filter. And
I think, I feel like sometimes we fall into the trap of feeling like we have to give a reason for why we want to be attracted to someone, and I don't think we have to. Like, you're allowed to be attracted and want to be attracted to the person that you're dating. So I think with catfishing, it bothers me in the sense that, like, it just seems dishonest, and I feel like that's a bad place to start getting to know someone at. Like, you already kind of bent the truth before we've even met. So I think I mean, that was nice that you still gave her the chance to have a conversation and everything. But did you mention anything about...
I didn't.
That's awkward.
She did ask me. She's like, hey, I know things didn't work out with us, but is there anything that you would change about my pictures on like Hinge? And I was like, maybe changing this picture. And I screenshotted what picture. It kind of doesn't look like you a little bit because of this or this, but I didn't want to tell that's not you.
It's awkward. You don't want to be like...
Because at the end of the day, like, we're human. We're going to feel our ego hit because we're messing with our appearance. I work in radio, and a lot of people tell me, or my boss is like, oh, don't take it personally. I'm like, how do I not take it personally? You're judging, if for a lot of people, when I say it this way, like, a lot of people who are accountants or medicals or whatnot, you're judged on your work versus radio and TV personalities. You're literally being judged on your personality.
Yeah. No, that's so true.
Yeah. So I'm like, you can't judge my 2 + 2 when you're saying, like, oh, maybe this way, you could have said it this way. And I'm like, well, that's the way I kind of wanted to say it. But anyway, but my best date, I would have to say, it was probably with the longest person I was in an unofficial dating phase with. And this was 2021. The pandemic was still going on, and it went on for 6 months. And let me tell you why it went on for 6 months. I know it was a really long period of time, but we started talking in July. And I remember she had great conversations and whatnot. I got to the point where I was okay, because at first, and to this day, I don't think I'm looking for somebody that already has kids, because I don't want to deal with daddy issues. Unless daddy is not in the picture, then I don't mind and whatnot. So she has a kid, and I only saw videos of him. I've never met him and whatnot, but I was already like, oh man, like, this is nice. And she is great. She is wonderful. I love this. I could possibly see a future with this woman. And we went out on our only date It was our only date. It was in October, so 2 months of talking, but we would FaceTime, right? Because she was afraid of going out and getting the virus for her son or for her parents, and even possibly getting it to me. So when we finally decided, let's go see each other, we went to botanical gardens in Pasadena, and it was like a 3 mile experience of being immersed in nature and beautiful architecture. And we even had a picnic. We had some ceviche, and it was a great time. And I wanted to continue seeing us, but because of the pandemic, she was just so afraid to meet in person because of getting the virus. Little did she know I didn't care, because I would tell her at the end of the day, you're the one who works in a hospital, so you're putting yourself at risk. If anything, like I'm deciding, and to this day, I mean, I haven't had COVID, knocking on wood, that I don't in the future. Oh, okay, cool. Unicorns over here. But I remember I was with her. I was very honest. I was like, look, and the only reason we had that first date, or because it got to the point where I told her, look, I feel like I'm having a pen pal right now. Like I am not. I on paper it looks great. Talking to you, FaceTiming you is great, but I want to know what gets you mad. I want to know what your tics are. My love language is touch and time spent together, and words of affirmation.
Yeah, and that's hard when you're not seeing someone.
Exactly. Words of affirmation I got because she would talk to me. But I think where I really let my love language speak is the quality of time we spent together, and physical touch, whether that be a hug, whether that be a kiss, et cetera, et cetera. So I told her, I feel like I have a pen pal. Like this isn't how I foresee dating. We went on the first date, and again, it felt that way. And then in December, because this was October, November, I was like iffy about it. November, I told her I'm cutting this off. Like I can't anymore. And then in December, she basically said like, hey, let's go out on a hike and yada, yada, yada. And it rained on the day we were supposed to go hike. And obviously the beginning of 2022 was even harder with the Delta variant. So I knew that wasn't even going to be possible. So that was the best and also hardest online dating experience I had.
Yeah, that's a whirlwind, because like you said, you were all for it. You're like, I'm down to meet up, but to not have the other person kind of on that same page is tough. And it makes sense. Like, good for her for wanting to, keep everyone safe and stuff. It's just hard to build a relationship not in person.
Yeah. What would you say is the hardest thing about online dating?
I feel like it's cutting through the bullshit, like being able to tell who is actually worth meeting up with. Because I got to the point where I don't want to waste my time on people who are, not every date has to lead to a second date, or not every date has to be amazing, but is the conversation going to be good? Are you there for more than just a hookup? Like getting better at seeing through people's kind of facades. I feel like it's hard because you don't know someone.
Would it be weird when people, like, obviously your friends know you, my friends know me, and they do ask me all the time, and even my coworkers, and not sure if you got this question, it's like, wait, you're a great person. Why are you still single?
I hated that question.
Same.
What did you say when people said it? Like,
I was like,
yeah, response?
I know. I was like, yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't know.
Because what are you supposed to say?
I don't know.
That's why I'm here. I'm trying.
Yeah. And again, I don't know how it is right now, currently, 2023. Like, it is so hard for... I'm speaking for myself. For me to get noticed on dating sites, you have one or two, but then you get ghosted and whatnot. I don't want to say it's harder for men, because there are some great looking men out there that I'm sure y'all are just getting a swipe real quick. But it ain't the case for a lot of us. Okay, so that is troublesome and it's annoying, and it's also like, well, I'm busy, I'm on the go. I know I'm a
Right.
great guy. I know I'm a catch. But at the same time, it's like, what are you women looking for? I understand that you put your IGs on your social media, but I'm not trying to go and follow you on Instagram just to unfollow you because
No.
you ghosted me, right? Did you?
That used to be, boys do the same thing, or men
Really?
do the
Okay.
same thing. Yeah.
Don't
And I'm like,
oblige.
I'm not going to be another follower. So
Yes.
I think you want to get noticed on dating apps, wear that hat. I love that hat
Oh,
that you
really?
have on.
What does it say?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Girls
Girls do everything
do
better.
everything better.
Yeah. Well, this
You're
episode is
not wrong.
obviously on the. I agree. This episode is launching tomorrow, which is the last day of February, but March 1st begins Women's History Month, March 8th, Women's International.
Yeah.
So my subliminal messages to men out there. And I have a pink one that I'll be wearing on
I love
Wednesday
it.
because, real
I
men
love
wear
that.
pink. But
I love it.
yeah. So again, I don't know. And there are probably some great women out there. I mean, it's just so hard for me to be, because I also was trying to be in a relationship with somebody from my past, that we were in a relationship, but it was
Okay.
also harder. These last couple of months, I went on a trip for work for about a month, and we tried to keep communication, but again, it was hard to keep communication and make things work when there was still something in me that said, like, something's not right here, and I don't want to hurt this person. And if I'm just not feeling it, I'm just going to walk away or back off until,
Yeah.
So it is hard. What are some of these dating trends that you talked about in your podcast for 2023
So
that could help men or women like me?
yeah, and I think one of the biggest ones is being picky.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't think
okay.
it's a good thing, because I think we're old enough that we know what we want, and the age of, kind of conforming to whatever someone else wants or kind of changing yourself for someone else, I feel like we're so past that. So
Yeah.
being picky and not just like mindlessly swiping, which I definitely did. If you like, if I was just not feeling, I'm like, all right, nope. Or yep.
Yes, because you're just like,
and then,
whatever, God, take the wheel. Like, whatever
Right.
you think is fine, and then you match with people, you're like, sorry, you're not my type. Like, this was my mistake.
Well, do you ever like do the swiping and then the next day you wake up and you have a bunch of matches and you're like, I don't think I matched with that person. I'm like, did Bumble just put them in there? I don't know about that.
Yes. Like Bumble sometimes, obviously now Bumble charges you to see like who's liked you. Hinge hasn't yet, so thank you. But other dating apps already have, and I'm like, you're trying to capitalize on love. I don't like.
Right?
Like, you're in the way of finding the right one. So one time for Bumble, I did press like, okay, I'll pay the $30 for 3 months so I can see who likes me. And I'm like, really, Bumble? Like, this was the 11 people that that like I matched with, or that they liked me. Like, this is not even filling any of my filters.
That sucks. You're like, this was for nothing.
Yeah. Did you ever? I think I do. I know some men do. Maybe more so women get trapped in the illusion of love, where you are you want to be in love so bad that when things are going good with somebody else, you already start fantasizing about how a life with them could be.
Yes.
And
every time.
Yeah, you're same.
It's so self-destructive too, because you're like setting yourself. You're like, oh, I've been on 3 dates with this person. I love the way my name sounds with their last name. That's going to be a great.
Okay, I'm not the only one.
No, it is. I feel like it's more common than people want to admit.
Okay.
Because it's kind of embarrassing to be like, after date 2. But no, I think everyone does it, and if you don't, good for you. But
yeah, and if you don't, you're probably hiding that you do.
There you go.
Yeah, because I definitely have have thought like, wow, I've already gone on 2 dates with this person, or we're having such a great conversation. And okay, like, wow, this is what a home with this person would look like. This is what maybe 1 or 2 kids would look like. How would
Yeah.
even guys, I'm like, how would our wedding be like?
I'm happy to know that, because I feel like girls do think that it's just us that do it. So I'm happy that guys do it too. You guys deserve to go through that too.
Yeah, well, it's
a mental
definitely
heartache.
a heartbreak. Yeah, it's definitely a heartbreak the minute that they ghost you and you're just like, oh, okay, well, that palace is gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Guess plan something else other than our wedding on May 1st.
Exactly. I want to go into these questions that people sent us on social media, HLA Podcast, Instagram, so you guys can go ahead and follow us there. And I'll read one, we'll answer it together, and then we'll kind of go through the list, and we'll see where this goes. So the very first one we got is, and I'm not going to read who it was from because I don't want to expose them. How many dates did it take to figure out if it was the one? So that's more for you, since I haven't found one.
Because I'm the kind of person that fantasizes a life after 2 dates. The first date was really good. I think just the conversation was so easy and I felt comfortable with them. If that's the case, I feel like that's a good sign. And then the second date, he made an effort to like plan it quickly so that we would, keep building a relationship. So with the guy that I'm with now, I would say like third or fourth to be like, okay, this is someone I can actually get excited about and not feel like it's going to crash and burn and I'm going to look like an idiot who got excited about a guy. Because that happened literally. It's kind of weird the way everything happened, because a few weeks before I met my current boyfriend, I was going on a few dates with this other guy, and like they were weirdly similar in the sense like their jobs were similar, their backgrounds were similar. Mm-hmm. So then when that guy ghosted and then this new guy came into my life, I was like a little suspicious because it almost seemed, I'm like, you guys are too similar. But he showed me very quickly that he was serious about dating and really liked me. So I would say the third or fourth date, which isn't usually the case. I feel like it takes me a long time to kind of trust someone and think whether or not it's worth it.
I think for guys, and again, just speaking on my behalf, I know after the first or second date, and I think most women that I've dated, if I continuously date you, is because I see something in you that I like and love. I remember with the longest relationship that I had, I knew the moment I saw her. Like,
that's nice.
Yeah, right. And it's so weird. She didn't see it. It took some convincing. It took like 4 days. But I think as guys, you're just like, whoa, there's something, So if a guy is persistent and wants to take you out on a date, and I was very intentional about seeing this person as often as I could and as it was allowed, those are green flags in my case.
I'm going to ask him when he knew that he wanted to hang out with me. And then if he doesn't say the first date, I'm going to be really sad.
And it doesn't happen all the time. It happened that one time.
Okay,
yeah. All right, what's the next question?
So, boundaries in a relationship, putting yourself first in the relationship goals.
Ooh, so how do you set your boundaries, and how do you as a woman put yourself first?
I think a lot of therapy and self-care has taught me that I should come first. So that's pretty easy, I feel like, because I know when I'm getting mentally drained. I know when I need a break. And I also am not afraid to ask to hang out with my guy. It's kind of getting over that self-conscious, am I asking to hang out with him too much? And being able to also say no. I feel like that's a boundary that's important. To also say, I'm not saying no because I don't want to see you. I'm saying no because I need time for myself.
And that's important. That would save so much time in uncertainty. I know, for me, I remember when I was dating, if they didn't text back right away, I was like, oh my God, what did I do wrong?
Right, because they're already over me.
Yeah, people have lives, yo. And
And
that's the
I
reality.
think it's easier to understand that now, being like more of an adult and having a more like established life. You're like, I get busy, so I can't be mad when that person gets busy, especially like I teach, so
Oh,
I'm not on my phone, except for like my period off and stuff. So
yeah.
I need to be with someone who also understands the reverse. Like, yeah, I'm not going to be texting you all day, every day. And I also think that you don't need
And
to.
yeah, and kids mentally drain you.
Yeah.
Like I worked with kids, and there were times where I'm like, "Ugh, don't nobody talk to me all day."
But today was our first day back. We had a week off, and I came back, and my one class that's always, I was just like, guys, this wasn't it. This was not
Yeah,
it. So, but yeah, having someone that understands you need space, but also explaining when they need space too, because then you don't want to resent the person if you feel like they're smothering you. Just
of
be
course.
open, be honest.
Love it. All right. This is a good question because when I read it, I was like, you know what? Times have changed, but what is
Hmm.
acceptable nowadays? Because we were talking about this earlier as men, like, I don't want to be creepy with the whole Me Too movement that went on back in 2020, which, awesome. I'm all for it. Expose those dudes. But it's like, how, how do I make you feel comfortable while also letting you know that I'm interested?
I think, well, like consent is always huge, but like just, on a date, physical closeness, like you don't need to
Yeah.
put your hand on my leg on a first date, but if I feel like you're kind of leaning into the conversation, like I feel like that shows interest. And then from there, I don't know. I think you can you should be able to get a read from someone. If
Yeah.
someone is physically looking uncomfortable, then probably should back off. But
Yeah.
also, if you
Reading the
ever,
room, guys.
well, and so many people can't, but when in doubt, like always, I feel like communication is key. Always
Yeah. No.
communicate.
So if somebody were like, let's say if you and your boyfriend first date and he asked, and would this
Mhm.
be appropriate? Like, hey, can I put my arm around you? That's consensual and their communication, or would you expect like, oh, just put your arm around me, don't ask?
So, and that's where it's hard because like I would want them to just do it
Uh huh.
because and this, I feel like it's hard because you want consent is so huge, but you also, depending on who you are, the vibe might be, no, I don't want you to ask to kiss me. I want you to kiss me because that's more like
Yeah.
romantic. So
Of
I think
course.
it depends. It totally depends. For me, like I would much rather someone, if I'm into them, would rather them just go for it. But I think the person could tell that I'm into them. It's hard. It's nuanced.
Yeah.
Dating is so nuanced and like,
And I think that's the complicated part of dating in 2023 is like, all right, like there's so many times that I mean, for as a Latino man, you see the novelas and you see like even at times the forceful kissing that turns into a passionate kiss.
yeah,
Like, oh, I didn't want to, but oh my god, I am, and I'm gonna go for it. And sometimes you're like, wow, does this work? But then you realize, oh no, this is probably not okay. But some women are into, yeah, are
yeah,
into that,
yeah. No,
and they wouldn't mind that.
I think the fact that you're even questioning if like, oh, am I being creepy? I think that's huge. I think that
Got it.
that shows you have enough self-awareness that you're not going to do anything creepy.
Yes. All right. Next question.
Next
I think
one.
this one's important.
Let's see. We got, when does one know we are ready to date?
Mm. Let me know. When am I ready?
That is also so nuanced because everyone's so different. Like I've
Subjective.
rebounded the next day and I've rebounded like 3 months later. It depends.
Yeah.
What
No,
do you
I
think?
agree.
Yeah.
I've had so many people tell me like, Jose, are you ready to date? Like you have no idea like the commitment and responsibility it is, and then the time consumption. Like, do you have time working in entertainment? Do you have time? And there
Hmm.
are days where I'm super busy and I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have had time today. But then I'm like, wait, I would have loved, days that I do have a lot of time. And again, it's like finding somebody that would understand that part of me, because it is a part of me. Working in radio, working in entertainment, it gets, sometimes it's super 24/7 I'm on, and sometimes it's I'm only on 2 hours.
Yeah. Do you ever feel yourself wanting to fast forward through the getting to know you phase to be
Yes.
able to have that person that just come over and hang out, where it doesn't have
Yes.
to be this big date or anything?
I would love that. And I think that is probably an issue for me personally with dating, because it's like, all right, well, I'm going to meet somebody digitally, have this conversation for about a week. And if I remember to even open these apps
Right.
and then go on 2 or 3 dates, or I don't know how many dates it would take for until I'm comfortable with like, yo, come over. And that
Yeah.
does not mean in any sexual way. It's like, I just want to spend time with you,
Right.
you know? And I don't want to do FaceTime. Like, I realize I don't want to do if it gets to the point where we're comfortable, yes, let's FaceTime. But like, if the first couple of days, because I had somebody who would just want to FaceTime all the time, and I'm like, I'm busy.
That's before you guys had even met? They wanted
Yes.
to...
Yes. I was at the gym and they FaceTimed me, and I was just like, what? And then at night.
So my thing is, FaceTime without a warning stresses me out, because, yeah, like at the gym, I'm not going to answer.
I answered.
Did you? Like,
I did. I was like, oh shit.
No, I need a heads up before someone's going to FaceTime me.
Let's see. We have this final question. Time apart from each other, is that necessary? Do you do that nowadays?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't live with my boyfriend. I think the time that we have apart, it like lets you miss them.
Yeah.
And I think the first few weeks that we were hanging out, we always would see each other at least once a week. Like, that was important to me to continue to build that relationship. But now we probably see each other like 2 or 3. Like, he'll usually come over for the weekend and he'll like stay over 1 or 2 nights. And I think I'm past the point, like, you know, when someone stays over and you just want them to leave when you wake up, you're just like, get out. Like, I don't have that feeling. Good. But I also have the comfort where I can say, like, hey, I'm going to go do this today. Do you have plans? Like, go on your way.
If
like,
not, find some.
Yeah, right. Or like, just,
if not, find some.
And I did give him my key to my apartment, which was a big step for me. So, like, I'm not afraid that he's going to overuse it. Like, I'm not afraid he's just going to show up. He still is communicating when he's going to come over. But I feel like we found a healthy balance where we're not seeing each other every single day and spending every single second together.
Yeah.
But also, we're seeing each other enough where, like, I feel like we're continuing to grow.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think when I meet somebody, we'd have to come to that, like, I have my life and you should have your life, and being together just makes us an awesome dynamic duo, you know? Yeah. And I think that if you ask me what I'm looking for in a woman, I'm looking for an independent woman who can do it all, who doesn't need me, but who wants to be with me. Yeah. You know?
Do you have any friends that don't strike that balance, that, like, you never see them when they're in a relationship?
What do you mean, like?
Like, so if you have a friend, like, let's say Johnny gets a girlfriend and you don't see Johnny because he spends all his time with his girlfriend.
Oh, of course. Of course. And I'm like, dude, like, you need a life outside of, you know, from her. And I think I've been so grateful with my closest friends and my best friends. We've just formed a family. Like, their girlfriends or wives are also really close friends of mine. So, you know, so we formed this family and bond where if he doesn't answer, I'll call her. Or if, like, hey, if you don't want to hang out, I'll go hang out with her. Or sometimes they're having issues and I'm like, yeah, fuck him. You know, I'm supposed to be, you know, I'm supposed to be on my friend's side. But I mean, I think we're all very mature men who I've said, you know, I'm here for both of you. You guys are family now. And if either of you mess up, I'm not going to choose sides. Don't ever ask me to, like, oh, whose side are you on? Because I'm not. Like, you can't put that or pin that on me when I've had a friendship outside of your guys' relationship with both of you.
I feel like that's such the goal, to have, like, one big happy family. That's so cute.
And can I just say, like, I've been matchmaker to all my friends, and they're assholes for not helping out.
Yeah, they need to return the favor.
I know, right?
What?
Amanda, I've had such a great time talking to you. I know you have a podcast, Dating Will Be the Death of Me. Please tell us all about this podcast and where can people find you?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me on. So Dating Will Be the Death of Me, you can find on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you listen. And I'm also on Instagram, which is where we met, and I'm very active on there, trying to get feedback from, kind of what listeners want to hear. So that's at Dating Will Be the Death of Me. And I am wrapping up season 4. I'm going to take a little hiatus, and then I'll be back with even better content.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda. It's been a pleasure having you on Échale Podcast. Please make sure to go follow Amanda on Dating Will Be the Death of Me. Go listen to her content. I am so excited for people to get to listen to this episode. And if you have any feedback for us or something that you might want us to further discuss, Amanda and I, just let us know. Échale Podcast on Instagram. Thank you so much once again, Amanda.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was great talking.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.